If you're an established e-commerce store, go out there. If you haven't done it, talk to people, see what they think about your store. Make sure that your store is idiot-proof.
Are you ready to optimize your website to increase sales and generate more leads? Subscribe to the show for weekly new episodes.
Welcome to the Marketing Optimization Podcast with Alex Designs. I'm your host, Alex Harris, and today we're chatting with Travis Marziani. How are you doing, Travis?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing well. To get started, what would be your definition of optimization and why is it beneficial?
My definition of optimization, I think, is fairly vanilla, but it's basically taking something, making it better in a procedural manner, step by step by step. And I think a lot of people, they want to release something right away that's perfect. That doesn't make any sense to me. I've talked to so many new entrepreneurs that want to release that thing perfectly at the beginning. No, optimization is that step-by-step process of making it better.
Yeah, it's true. I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs as well, and they want to start a t-shirt company, an agency, a SaaS company, and there's so many different things that they want to do. And in e-commerce, it's interesting because you have a podcast, Build My Online Store, and you talk to a lot of e-commerce focused entrepreneurs. How do you focus on the right thing, which is going to potentially produce the most revenue?
It's a hard thing. I mean, in the beginning, it's a little bit of experimenting, with marketing for sure. You got to see, maybe you test a couple of the different waters, see what's working. I'm finding for myself, paid marketing is working really well. And the funny thing about it is I spent probably a month or two when I first started the store on paid marketing, and it was working really well, and I kind of forgot about it. And for the last 2 years, I've been doing everything but that, even though that accounts for about 30-40% of my traffic. So recently I realized, hey, maybe if I tweak this a little bit, add some more, keywords, whatever, I will be able to work on that. So at the beginning, honestly, you're just going to have to see what other people have done, listen to podcasts like the one I have or your podcast, read books, see what works, and over time you'll say, oh, okay, this worked really well for us. Let's do more of that.
It's true. You're really building that track record, that historical data. I tell people that the easiest thing you can do in your Google Analytics is whenever you make a change to your website, just go into your annotations and make a note of it, because you're going to go back and if something really worked and then all of a sudden something's not working, you want to try to go back those steps and kind of figure out the path and the marketing that you put out there, because maybe the tweaks that you made to your website, they actually hurt you instead of helped you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of annotations. Having a spreadsheet somewhere saying, I made these changes on this day. At first year or two of my business, I would make changes and I'd go back to see, oh, did that change help? Did it not? And I'm like, well, wait a minute, I have no idea what day I made this on. Did I actually make it or did I just think about it? So I totally agree. Annotations, spreadsheets, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta track your success for sure. So you have an e-commerce site and you also talk to e-commerce focused entrepreneurs, and we're right on the brink of the holiday season. Everyone's freaking out trying to optimize their stores. What are the challenges that you see with sites? How do they hurt themselves with their conversion rate?
There's a lot of things I think people do as far as hurting themselves with conversion rates. I think one of the obviously it depends on what kind of store you have. If you have the kind of store that holiday sales are going to spike, then I think you should put some imagery, a banner that has trees, like Christmas trees, like really celebrate that fact. With my personal store, the holidays don't really make a big difference because for us, it all depends on when competition season is and stuff of that nature. So I think I don't think a lot of people do stuff on purpose necessarily that hurt themselves, but they don't necessarily take advantage of the fact that this big season's coming up. So I guess I would say not having a strategy for the holiday season hurts conversion rates.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good point, because as we move past Halloween and get to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, having a strategy really is the starting point. Having a marketing calendar. When are you going to send your emails? Which days are going to use your promo codes and not use your promo codes? Because if you're not strategizing that and having a system, then building up historical data, then you're basically just guessing. And a lot of times you can actually cannibalize your own store with like coupon codes. People, throw coupon codes in pop-ups and headers and all over the place. And like you're training your customers to expect coupons and discounts. How do you feel about that approach with coupon codes?
I have very mixed feelings, kind of like you about coupon codes. Especially, it depends on a lot of factors, but one of the negatives I see with coupon codes is a lot of people that were going to buy anyways are going to use them. So let's say you have a 20% profit margin and you give them a 10% off coupon. You just cut your profit in half like that. And I understand on the flip side, you're going to get a lot of extra email signups and things of that nature, but I've had very mixed experiences. And it also scares me about the pop-ups detracting from, if I go on a site and there's a pop-up, a lot of times I'm like, nah, never mind. I don't want to deal with this. I'll hit that back button. So I think it's one of those things, and I hate to say this, but you have to test for your store. Everyone's going to say that. Every store is different, but coupon codes are not the sign-up bait that I personally would use. I'd rather use content. For instance, with my site, we're working on, I think actually we already pretty much have it done, a DIY guide, how you can take our products and DIY it. To me, that's of real value. That's something that people are interested in, something that people are coming to our site to possibly do a DIY project. Hey, we'll show you how to do it, and it doesn't cost us any money. So that's nice.
Yeah, well, content marketing, people take it, oh, I need to drive traffic to my website. Of course, you want more traffic to your website, but really content marketing is really establishing your brand and building the loyalty to the potential customer. And when those visitors get to your site, if there's not something of value, not all of them are going to be ready to buy something right away. So having content, creating videos, being off-site on other websites, that Instagram is very popular now. How are you taking into account all those different content marketing aspects? Do you have a kind of strategy for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one of the things that kind of lead into this question we're talking about, getting ready for the holidays, is one of the things we're looking at doing is YouTube. I think YouTube is a really undertapped market for getting content or publishing content and getting traffic to your website. So what we're doing is DIY videos. So it's all about how to DIY your own dance costume, which is what a lot of people come to our website about. They want to buy a pair of shorts and a top, add feathers and rhinestones to it. So we're going to show you how. And this does a lot of things. One, of course, it drives traffic. Two, it establishes us with some credibility. It's I co-own the business with my mom, and so my mom is in the videos doing all the DIY stuff, and she's obviously one of the owners of the business, so it connects the people that are potentially going to buy with our brand, with us. We're real people. We're not just some giant corporation. So we have a whole strategy of, we're going to release these different YouTube videos. For instance, Halloween, a few weeks before, pretty soon actually, we'll release 7 DIY Halloween dance costumes or something of that kind of nature. And then what we can do is we can turn that video into a blog post. We can take that, and that's a common one. Then we can take that and turn it into a Pinterest pin. So we'll do a long pin of how to make a zombie, dance costume. Here's the first step, second step, third step, whatever. And that's another thing that's very underutilized is Pinterest search, especially for DIY. Then we're going to take that video, also make it into a shortened 15-second video for Instagram. People love Instagram videos. We're going to take it and put a video on Twitter and Facebook. Facebook video is a really hot thing right now. Everyone's talking about it. I've made the mistake of releasing our YouTube videos on Facebook, and I'm still probably going to do it because it doesn't necessarily hurt, but that's not why people are on Facebook. They don't want to watch a 5-minute video. You might get a few people. I've gotten a few people that will, but I think what we're going to try to do is a shortened, either that 15-second video we're going to release on Instagram, put it on Facebook as well, since so much traffic's coming from mobile phone, or maybe, spend some extra work and do like a 1-minute video. But those YouTube videos for us are the pillar. And on top of that, when we get enough YouTube videos, you can turn it into some kind of giveaway. So what we've done is, I think we have like 60 or so DIY individual videos. We took all those blog posts, took all the videos, put it into one massive DIY guide, and now that's our free sign-up offer.
Yeah. Well, there's some key things that this accomplishes, and one of them is you're telling your story. People want to know who they're buying from, because people like to buy things from people that they know, like, and trust. But you're creating like this empathy channel. You're understanding what they're going through, and in that way, they're connecting with you personally and seeing you through video. Even if you're running a web agency, I know for me, when people see my YouTube videos or my videos on my website, I'm more likely to close them as clients because they just happen to see me, they know my personality. And all of the e-commerce sites that I see struggling don't have this at all. They're missing that core story. Tell the story about how you created that business and why you're doing this. Maybe you're helping with a charity or donation. There maybe there's a bigger why around it. But once you start to show those things, people start to see themselves in your shoes, and they really connect with you on a more deeper basis. And video really is the key to that.
Absolutely. I think that's the biggest mistake most e-commerce stores make is their About Us page is awful. If your About Us page is just a bunch of text, no pictures, you're doing something wrong, because first off, I'm not going to read that. Second off, I can't really connect with you. So one of the things we've done with our About Us page is put a video, and it's my mom talking, and it shows like, this is who I am. And even if you're not necessarily the target demographic for your store, it lets people kind of connect with you. If you are the target demographic, which I think most of those e-commerce store owners are, holy cow, you need to be doing that. And I think that's one thing that we've gotten a lot of calls to our shop saying like, oh my God, are you the Cindy? She's like, yeah, I'm that person. And when people can connect with you like that, I mean, why is someone going to buy from you instead of Amazon? If they want it cheap and fast, they get it from Amazon. So you need to have that differentiator, just like you were saying.
Yeah, I work with a lot of small businesses who I actually like their products, and I just really want to help them. And they're distributing. They make most of their money at either like farmers markets or not necessarily like swap shops, but kind of like trendy hip shops in the city and stuff like that. And they always say, "Oh, I make so much more money when I see the customer, when I meet them. How can I take that from the flea market or those hip swap shops or whatever they are, and how can I take that and I can make that online?" That's really what it is. Like your About page, your YouTube channel, your personality comes through, and people really would want to do business with you, and you can do that through video.
Yeah, absolutely. With the podcast, I co-host it with Terry Lynn, and he's the one that started it. He's had tons of people just come out of the woodwork saying, "Hey, I'd like you to consult for my business." And he's like, that wasn't really something I was interested in doing, but people actually seek him out. I mean, I feel like every salesperson, marketer, whatever, would love for people just to come to them. And by putting yourself out there, that's basically what happens. By having a YouTube channel specifically, and I could talk, I don't know, how much your audience knows about the numbers of YouTube and how many views it has, but basically YouTube is the second largest search engine with about 1,000th the competitiveness that Google has. There's trillions of websites, trillions of web pages. So if you're trying to rank on Google, it's pretty hard. Trying to rank on YouTube is much easier for a keyword. And like we were talking about, it actually gets you out there, not just your website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and people are searching for very, very specific things. And the way YouTube works, the more specific that you could make your video about that, the more likely you're going to come up in the search results. So how to apply wings to dress wear, how to apply what type of glue will go on rhinestones. So the videos don't have to be that complicated. They can be just super very specific to what the person is searching for, and it could be just a 5-10 minute video. You can even repurpose it from Periscope or something like that. There's a lot of opportunity out there, and as we move further through this digital age, we're just going to see more and more video as it comes through.
And one thing I want to add to what you're saying is any kind of how-to, DIY, anything like that, if you search for it on Google, the first 1, 2, maybe even 3 results almost always are YouTube videos. Mm-hmm. Because when someone's searching for a how-to, I personally would much rather watch a video on someone doing it than read a long article like, okay, wait, what was step 1? Mm-hmm. No, you just watch someone do it, and then it's like, oh, that's how I can do it.
Yeah, YouTube is the new knowledge center. People will spend hours and hours and hours trying to find the right YouTube video before going and actually reading the book to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any time. And the differentiator probably here is what's going to make them stay on your website instead of going and leading to go to Amazon, because that's really some of the conversion killers that I see happening is people arrive at the website and they're browsing through your products trying to find what to look for, and when they can't find what they look for, they go over to Amazon to actually purchase it. So you have to figure out a way to keep them on your website or also sell your products on Amazon. Are you selling products on Amazon as well, or?
We are selling on Amazon as well. I don't like Amazon as much, and I've talked about this actually on other podcasts. There's a couple things that I find wrong with Amazon. And to anyone selling on Amazon, I'm not saying stop, but there's a lot of benefit in having your own store. And one of the things is you can get banned by Amazon at any point. It's their playground. If they want to kick you off, they kick you off. And that scares me. Two, I also feel like it's kind of the hot new thing. And I'm not saying it's going to go away anytime soon, but the same thing happened with eBay. eBay was the place that, this is the new place to make all kinds of money. And no one's really selling on eBay anymore. So I think a lot of the gaming people are doing of trying to get their thing to number one, first off, Amazon's going to catch on to that. And they already kind of have. They've already gotten rid of a lot of sellers, actually, that were gaming the system. So be careful with that. Another problem is you don't get the email. You don't get that return value. Amazon gets that return value. So if someone buys from my site, they're our customer. I mean, we have their email. We have all their information. And if we come out with a new product, I can email them and say, hey, we just came out with this great new product. Come get it. If they haven't bought from us in 6 months, I can email them doing that. You can't do that on Amazon. And at the end of the day, my biggest thing is Amazon can take that away from you at any point. So,
very cool. And I know that there's a lot of people who listen to this show who are their e-commerce site owners. So what would be some, I know you've built your site and you run it with your mom together. What would be some tips for building that traction for growth online?
So you're talking about like just general marketing, like how to market your e-commerce store?
Yeah, general marketing.
I mean, I'm a huge proponent of paid ads. I think that a lot of people are scared of them, and that's the wrong mentality. If you have some money that you're willing to invest in your business, paid ads are the way to go. And you can start very specific, very niche down. So the obvious one is AdWords, which I'm sure most of your listeners are familiar with. And, start off with the most specific words you can find. For instance, let's say we're selling dance skirts and I can put, the keyword is buy dance skirts. Well, that's pretty specific. That's going to get a pretty high conversion rate. Or I could do something even better, like buy blue, long dance skirts. Anyone that's searching for that in depth of a thing, highly likely that they're going to buy. So one of the biggest advantages of doing that is it's almost instant traffic. All those keywords that you really want to rank for, it's instantaneous. And on top of that, if you're kind of newer to e-commerce, I think you should do paid ads for the cost of $5 a day. It's going to motivate you a little bit more. It's like if I'm playing, for instance, a game of pickup basketball with my friends. It's fun. I'm pretty serious. But if we put $5 on the line, I'm 100% in. And I think that's the same attitude people need to have with their online store. It's like, I can't really spend $5 to $10. It's not just a tool for increasing your business. It's also a tool for increasing the psychology that comes with this is a real thing. I need to optimize it. I need to see is my funnel working properly. So paid ads, product listing ads are huge. I absolutely love product listing ads. It's probably one of the biggest drivers of traffic. And I just found out the other day that Bing actually has its own version of product listing ads. So I'm going to be playing around with that. And I think if I know Bing, it's probably going to be a little bit less expensive. It's not going to get me nearly as much traffic as the Google product listing ads, but it's not going to be nearly as competitive. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, no, the product listing ads are definitely the way to go if you have an e-commerce site and if you have a lead generation site. Having those call extensions, getting people to actually call might be something you want to try as well. What about Facebook ads for e-commerce? Do you see any traction there?
I've heard a lot of people, I think it really depends on your niche. I personally have found I'm going to retry them. I haven't found huge success with them. I was getting people over to my website. They seemed to be pretty engaged. Their average page per session was pretty good, but no one was converting. And I think if you're on Facebook, you're in friend mode, you're not necessarily ready to buy a product like mine. My product is when you need a green dance skirt, you need a green dance skirt. It's not like, that's really what I want. Now I have a friend that's selling a protein pancake mix. She kills it on Facebook. When I told her that Facebook doesn't do that well for me, she was shocked. And her item is a novelty item. It's also health. So people are on Facebook looking at how in shape all their friends are and how much fun they're having. And they feel bad about themselves and like protein pancakes. All right, this will help me lose some weight. Like, why not get it? Where my product is not quite as good. Though one thing I'm going to be working on, and this is still kind of in the theoretical stages, but I've heard a lot of people have success with it, is instead of advertising my store, advertising content. So I'll do an advertisement for 7 ways to DIY your dance costume, which leads them to an article, which at the bottom of the article is like, if you want to get our full dance costume DIY guide, sign up here. And the benefit is right now, before when I was doing Facebook ads, I just had them come to the homepage of my store. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought maybe that they'd, want to go around, but I couldn't wrap my head around how do I create a landing page for my store, because there's so much different options. Like, do I create a landing page for dance skirts or dance shorts? I think the strategy I'm going to try out next is content. So
well, it's an interesting scenario because there's no perfect solution, and Facebook is good to get people to your site to read content. Maybe you repixel them with a retargeting ad, and then when they go back to the Facebook, they now see an ad. But yeah, there's this fine line between content and promotion on Facebook that's right, and you have to really figure out the kind of right mix for you. But I do recommend promoting content to get people to your website from Facebook. That is definitely a great strategy. Take your best blog posts and repurpose them into lead generation guides. Also, there's probably, is there any like new ways that people are trying either Facebook ads, social media ads, or new technologies that maybe people don't know about that you've interviewed on your podcast?
Sure. I mean, I don't know how new it is to most of your listeners now, but Pinterest ads are pretty interesting. And I don't think it's quite as tapped. I was able to get some really cheap Pinterest ads. And then I think they upped their minimum bid. I was getting it for like 5 cents a click. And then I'm still getting it for about 10 cents. That being said, my Google Analytics disagrees with what Pinterest says. Pinterest says, oh, you got 100 clicks to your website. And my Google Analytics says, oh, you got 30 or 40. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. Pinterest ads, I've heard a lot of good things about. I also did not have a ton of success with that. I had I had product pins basically, and it would straight go to my product page, which the problem once again is it's not a proper landing page, but I'm still not sure how I'd like to make a landing page for my products. I think an idea is potentially that content strategy of a pin with 7 ways to DIY your dance costume. It takes them to that page, get the email capture. The part of that does scare me, I will be honest, is, and it's tricky to make work because let's say I can get clicks for 40 cents to my website, and of those, 1 out of 10 signs up for my email offer. So that's $4 per email offer. And of those email, let's say 1 out of 10, and these are pretty good conversion rates, 1 out of 10 actually buy something, that's $40 per conversion. And a 10% conversion rate, as I'm sure your listeners know and is pretty good. So that does bother me a little bit, but it's something I'm going to test out. I'm sure once you find that proper offer, it'll work, but it's a matter of testing. Optimization.
Yeah, optimization. And it's interesting because I've watched so many user tests and mouse recordings of people browsing e-commerce sites. The main thing that people want to do on e-commerce sites, obviously, is to window shop. They like to browse through products, but trying to kind of figure out the right path for them to go through is always interesting. How much do you promote the lead? How much do you promote, an offer? How do you get them to convert? Why are they not converting? Any insight into kind of understanding that data and how people can use it to leverage improving their conversions?
So there's 2 things I'll say. One, and you talked about getting screen recordings on your site. I don't know which one you use. I recently signed up for Hotjar, and you can get a free trial. I think you watch between like 100 to 300 people on your actual website. I learned a lot just from watching random people. The second thing is find who your target demographic is. Your target, like the question I always like to ask people is if there was only, let's say 1,000 or 100 people in the world that you think your store is perfect for, who would they be? And let's say 1,000 just to make it a realistic number. Now find a few of those, find 2 or 3, go to them and say, here's my store. Ask them questions. Do you shop online? Do you like the way this looks? And that's the biggest thing that so many internet marketers want to do is they want to hide behind their computer. And I do this too. I'm a culprit of this. You talk about the screen recordings. Everyone's like, oh, I want to just watch the screen recordings. That's great. And I think that in some ways is just as, if not more valuable. But at a certain point, if you need to go talk to people and say, here's my site. What's wrong with it? What doesn't make sense? Try to buy a product. Oh, okay. Watch how they do it. I mean, I thought that everyone in my store would go through my drop-down menus. Turns out, no, some people will click on a category and then click down, down, down. And I didn't know that. So I realized I need to make my category pages more friendly. That's the big thing I'd recommend. Go out and actually talk to other humans.
It's a good point. As I've done user testing for a long time, we do use usertesting.com, and we recruit the right target audience. But we even take that a step further, and we sit with the ideal target customer, and we watch them go through the website. We ask them some series of questions, and when they tend to pause at a certain point, we'll ask them, what were you thinking right there? What made you pause? It really is amazing, and we actually videotape it to actually see their reactions. It's very eye-opening because it's obvious when people can't figure out what they need to do next. And if they can't figure out what to do next, more than likely you can triple that because there's many other people who can't figure out what to do next. So in-person user tests, very, very key to improving your conversion as well. So let's talk about you, Travis. How can people find out more about you and the podcast?
Sure. So the podcast is called Build My Online Store, and I've been, my buddy Terry started about 2 or 3 years ago, and I've been on for the last year or more, and we talk about all kinds of different things, and I tried to make it as practical and useful as possible. So every episode, I hope, and I've been told, people walk away with at least one thing. They're like, I need to go try this out. I need to go do this. I also recently started a YouTube channel called How to eCommerce, and I'll give you the link to that. And that's been really cool because I think, like I talked about, YouTube is a underdeveloped market, especially with e-commerce things. And I know for me personally, when I'm eating lunch, I like to watch a YouTube video and learn a little something. You know, I don't always want to watch just something funny. So that's why I wanted to start this. And I'm trying to get more serious about it and start doing at least once a week, do some kind of like this week in e-commerce news. But I'm really excited about that YouTube channel. And of course, if people want to tweet at me, Travis Marz, M-A-R-Z, that's my Twitter, and I'd be happy to talk with any of the listeners about any kind of e-commerce stuff. It's always good to connect with other e-commerce store owners.
Very cool. To close out, what would be the next step that you would tell listeners so they can take their e-commerce site to the next level?
You know, obviously it depends on where they're at, but I think most of the listeners probably know what their next logical step is. And I tend to give this speech to people that are like want to start a store and aren't. I mean, if you have an idea for a store, buy the domain. If you have the domain name, set up a free account with Shopify, 14 days, and put that in. Just always take that next little step. And I think too many people want to spend the weekend I'm going to spend this entire weekend and I'm going to get my store up and running. No, just do that next little thing. So I think that would kind of be my advice. If you're an established e-commerce store, go out there. If you haven't done it, talk to people. See what they think about your store. Make sure that your store is idiot-proof. And if there's one person out there that can't figure it out, your store isn't as simple as it should be. So I think that's the next step.
Great. Thanks a lot for your time, Travis.
Absolutely.
For weekly new episodes and an archive of over 100 digital marketing experts, make sure you go visit the website marketingoptimization.tv. And remember, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Later.